So yeah, hi everyone. I just had to start doing this because I want to do it outside of the house. I want it to be different today. But the reason why I want to do this episode of Hey Stella for this week differently is because I don't know if you've seen, but there's a show, a reality TV show from Australia, and it's called The Single Wives. And they introduce it's about these women who have been divorced before and now they're looking for love, and they talk about how difficult it is to find the right guy and the true love and all of that. And the show introduces a coach, a love coach. I guess he just calls himself a coach. His name is Matthew Hussey, and I haven't heard of him before, but as I started to watch this, had no idea that I was going to start to see connections in the way that he was training and coaching these women to go about their lives in order to find the right guy. And it was so crazy because the more I kept watching, the more I realized that the rules and the tools and the techniques that he was offering were the same ones that I teach actors. So, do you know how I keep saying almost every episode that acting is so much more than for training actors and artists, but it has to do with helping anybody to live life and to become a more confident and more aware person. And I know I keep saying that, but I don't know that I've ever seen it be so revealed to me like I did with the show, and the connections between the tools of acting and the tools that this coach, who's not an acting coach, he's a life coach, a love coach, and he's using the same terms. For example, he said that the most important thing for these women who are looking for the the men in their lives, the first thing that they had to work on was to find their inner strength. So before you can go and be there for another person or even try to attempt finding love with someone else, you have to find a love for yourself. You have to find the confidence yourself because you are your greatest asset. Which was like, it just felt like he was taking my words off of my mouth, which I know he didn't, but I was in shock. In shock, but not really because always knew this, but I never knew that somebody was actually making a living out of this and he was actually doing good for people. He's a star now. He's even going out with somebody from Hollywood, and like people are giving him thumbs up. Eva Longoria, I think, said the magic of Matthew Hussey has to be experienced by everyone. So they're all like so excited. Everybody's like so excited by his coaching, and it just I just feel like every day as I'm going about trying to explain to people the dologia. I never know how to say this word, and I should freaking practice it in order to be able to use it. But what's so important about this is that I feel that my my link between acting and life is being confirmed by other people who are actually successful at doing it. So it's not just me thinking that it is for people who have nothing to do with acting or the entertainment business. Amazing. So I was telling you about the first thing that he was offering them. As soon as he was offering them the understanding of who they are as their best asset, and that they're already worthy of finding somebody who's worthy of them. They're worthy of finding somebody who's worthy of them. But that is another term that I use with my actors all the time, because I tell them to go on stage and they have to own the stage. They have to feel like the partner on stage, as the partner in everyday life, is going to be worthy of getting what they want from them. So you don't just give of yourself without the other person earning and deserving that. And this coach was talking about the same thing in everyday life. In order to make yourself a person that is going to be then coming to encounter, to meet someone else at the same level who will respect you, who will admire you. Because if you don't have admiration and if you don't have respect from the loved one, what's there? There's no relationship. You can't find love. Love comes at the end when all of the other things are being met. Blew my mind. Find the strength in yourself. Find it because it's there, like he says. You are already an extraordinary person. You just got to believe yourself before you put yourself out there in trying to meet somebody else who's going to believe it. So that was the first one. Worthiness. Your worthiness is already yours. You don't have to work for it. You don't have to prove yourself. You cannot ever be not enough. So no matter how much we think of our past relationships, I've had some horrible, terrible past relationships. Don't get me started. Where I always found that it was my fault at the end of the day. I always felt that I wasn't enough, and that's why it ended. Because I felt that if I would have been enough, I would have still been in the relationship. No, there's never you're not enough. We as people are made by a creator. So we are already enough in the way that we were created. Now we have to go on and create what we want our universe, our life to be. And he uses that a lot. He uses the fact that you have to create your fairy tale. You don't find your fairy tale. You create your fairy tale. And it's the same thing. You create that which is what you want in order to get what you deserve from the other person as an actor. So why not do it in real life? Acting teaches you how to be a human being. If acting teaches us, it has the methods and techniques. It has the techniques to teach you how to be a human being. Why wouldn't acting help you as a human being? And why wouldn't smart people like Matthew Hussey, good for freaking him, realize that and use those same techniques? I mean, I don't know if he knows that he's using them. I have to look at his background as CV. Does he have anything to do in theater or movie? I would be very curious to see. Smart enough, he's smart enough to know that those techniques are so practical in everyday life to get you to be the person that you already are, which is extraordinary, amazing, confident, and then to find the person that you deserve and who's worthy of you in life. Another thing that he was doing, he was setting up these scenarios. So he was giving the women a scene to go in and act in. For example, the first night they had to go into a bar and try to find a couple of men and have a conversation with them and just mingle. And after that, and see if they can get a phone number. It's as if saying to an actor, okay, this is what the scene is going to be about. Only this is reality. So there's no difference. There's no difference if you consider the scenario to be on stage or if you consider the scenario to be on TV, on a set with cameras. I mean, there were cameras all around that we couldn't see, but it's still a scenario that he gave them. And then he was going to follow, watching them to see how each of them are going to proceed and what tactics they're going to use in order to achieve the objective. What the objective is getting the phone number from the person that they feel attracted to. Does that sound familiar? Do we do that in acting? Yes, we do. I have to stop being in awe of how similar his method is. I mean, this is blowing my mind because I've always said that this is that the method is like so good for people in everyday life, not just for actors. I've said it so many freaking times and people roll their eyes, which is a sign of disrespect, by the way. So if you see somebody rolling their eyes at you, that shows disrespect. So talk to them and have them not do it anymore because it makes nobody feel good. After the scenario of them going into the bar, which the coach came up with, objective, get the number from the guy, from one or two guys that you like, using different tactics in order to do that. They go in, one of them proves to be a shy person, the other one is more about knowing how to navigate the room with the new people. She talks, but she doesn't know how to ask for the phone number. So he shows every quality that those women individuals have and also what the things are that they have to work on in order to be able to obtain their objective. Sounds familiar for actors? Yes, because it is the same in acting. After they did that, some of them were better, some were worse at it. They go back to the mansion. This is a place where everybody's kind of living. So they go back to the mansion. And what Matthew does, which is brilliant, which acting coaches do, and what I do, I should say acting coaches, what I do sometimes, not with everybody, because it depends on the individual, the same way that these individual women needed to be coached on different things, as they are different individuals and separate different beings. So we all have different things that we need to work on, and we have qualities that are stronger and not so strong for others. He brings them back after the scenario of the evening before. They sit down on the couch and he plays it, since it's being videotaped, since the whole thing was recorded on video because it's a show. He sits them down and then he goes through the scenes of each of the women in their different tactics and their behaviors. Behavior transformed into psychology is the definition of acting. That's Ilya Kazan who said that. I'm not saying that. So please trust me when I say that this is like this reality show just kind of like made me have that aha moment that I needed so much. Even though I knew it, but now it just kind of connected together. I'm just gonna wait for the suitcase to pass by. He comes and he sits them down. So let's watch your rehearsal, as if to say, let's watch the rehearsal. That could have been the rehearsal if they were actors. They're sitting them down, so Matthew goes through each one of them. He points to one of the women and says, do you notice that when you're listening to this guy who's talking to you, every 2 seconds you go, yep, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. That means that you're not listening. I would say the same thing to my actors. If you are listening to somebody, you just listen. You hear. You're hearing, not having to go, yep, yep. I do that. I recognize myself in that because I do that in everyday life. I go, yep, or I nod my head. And it's okay to nod your head, but when it's also like voiced out, like, yeah, I'm listening. We do it when somebody does that. We do it because we want to prove to the other person that we are listening to them. We don't feel ourselves as being sufficient. We don't feel that we are worthy. Going back to the worthiness, we don't feel that we're sufficient as people. So I'm going, yes, I'm listening. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, you're giving me your attention. I'm taking it in. I want you to know that I'm taking in the attention that you're giving me. Therefore, I'm going to go like, yes, I'll let you know that I'm listening. Yes, yes. No, don't. Stay in the listening. Take a moment of pause, which is very awkward in the beginning because it's uncomfortable. That takes us into the uncomfortable, which we discuss all the time as actors. Well, he talks about it. He said exactly the same thing to that woman. Imagine if you don't say okay after 2 or every word that the other person is talking to you. If I'm listening to the sounds around, because I don't have a person, I don't have a partner right now to demonstrate, but if I'm listening, I just listen. I don't go, I don't go, to the universe. I don't go, yeah, trees, the leaves are moving. I'm going, yes, I hear the leaves. Yes, the car just passed by. I'm hearing the car. No, you just listen. But we are made to feel uncomfortable in a situation that we're not used to. And that's the territory that you have to put yourself in to grow as a person and to grow as an actor. But in this case, he was telling them to grow as people, you have to put yourself in the territory of the uncomfortable, the not unknown. So be in the pause and just listen to the person. You don't have to prove your worthiness and to say thank you to everything that he's saying to you as if you're bowing your head because he's paying attention to you and he's talking to you. Listen, say nothing. Whenever you want to say, stop yourself. That's how you learn. The more you practice that, the more that will become your comfort. So stay in the uncomfort and then it will become the comfort. Once they will become the comfort, then you will have choices to say, this time I'm going to respond myself by knowing that I'm choosing to stay silent and just listen and look at a person, or I might say yes. But that's your choice. When you have those two options, that you've made them available to you by learning yourself as a person to become better, then it's a different thing if you decide to say yes. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? I think it's just, I mean, this guy is just brilliant to know how to do that and to take this. I wish I could get in touch with him. Matthew, Hasi, get in touch with me because I want to talk about something with you that's so out of this world. It's just gonna blow your mind. So I hope you guys get in touch. Anyway, I'm so excited when I realize these kinds of things, and I kind of go back and I say, I knew all along that this was the case, but people were kind of like, really? In what way do you mean acting towards help in real life or with yourself to become better or to meet people or to find out that, you need to have somebody in your life who's going to respect you? I don't get it. Well, I get it. And other people get it, like this guy. Another example that he gave, and it was incredible. He even calls, there was this other woman that he was going to watch her rehearsal, I'm going to call it rehearsal, to what happened the night before. And he says, we're going to break down what you did the night before. So it's like breaking down the scenes. It's script analysis. So we do the same thing in acting. Like we take the script, we go and we break it down in beats. Beats are changes of thoughts. So we break it down beat by beat by beat by beat. This is something that I don't know how many people know that, but this is something that the beat sounds like the beat of the music, like the music beats that stayed after Stanislavski, and that was something that Stanislavski came up with, a famous director from Russia over 100 years ago, who came up with a system and was the first one to write about actors' tools and how to use them and how to approach to become a better actor and a better person. He was the first to make the link between the person and the actor, and the importance of the manual that was written for the first time for actors, to have a manual to guide them in life, to guide them in acting, because we don't have a manual for life. Right? That's why I say acting is the closest manual to life, honest to God. So he came up with beats. But what I read somewhere was the difficulty that I have as an actor, the difficulty that I have for somebody who speaks Romanian as the first language and English as my first, whenever I have words like beats or bits. So it's the powers like the beats of the music, the musical beats, or the bits, like the bits of crumbs, the crumb bits. There's a in between the e. So, or another example that's actually going to make you understand more clearly. It's when I say, let's go to the beach. I'm going to the beach. See, I'm going to the beach, or beach. So I'm going to the beach. It's like very difficult for me, who speaks English as the second language, to say beats or bits. And we found out the same thing happened to Stanislavski. So he was coming up in a seminar and he was trying to explain to someone in English that you have to take every thought, every change of thought in the script and analyze it with actors to understand the psychology behind the actors. So he was saying you have to take every bit. He wanted to say every bit, but he couldn't say every bit, like every little thing. And he said every beat because of the accent. It was something like that. So the beats came out of the wrong pronunciation of Stanislavski, and I don't know where I read this. I'm sure I read it somewhere because my imagination is not that wild. I wouldn't be able to come up with something that like that if I didn't read it somewhere. So he's doing the script analysis. This guy, the coach on the show, he's doing the script analysis, and he says, well, he doesn't call it script analysis, but he says, let's break down the scene, the rehearsal. Let's break down your evening. So then he goes to this other woman, and I say that so much. We have things, we have habits. There's like habitual things, obiceiuri pe care le folosim ca și oameni, care ne fac să ne simțim comozi, care ne fac să ne simțim că suntem în control. Toți în viața noastră vrem să fim în control, pentru că adevărul adevărat este că nu suntem în control. Nu știm ce se va întâmpla în următorul minut, nu știm ce se va întâmpla în ziua de mâine, în săptămâna viitoare, nu știm. Dar pentru că ne e atât de frică ca să trăim în nu știi, atunci vrem să ne gândim că putem să controlăm situațiile și viața noastră. De aceea, suntem mult mai comozi în teritoriul de comod. Suntem comozi. Atunci avem obiceiuri care sunt habits de care depindem. And some of those habits for me, maybe they are crying, let's just say. Dacă sunt într-o situație și nu știu ce să fac și mă gândesc că vreau să mi se dea atenție și vreau să dovedesc că ceea ce spun are importanță, ca să-i fac pe oameni să mă creadă, pentru că nu mă simt că sunt suficientă, atunci plâng. Ca să le arăt că sunt, ca să le arăt cât de mult cred în lucruri despre care am vorbit. Altă chestie este că îmi pun părul într-un anumit fel, cu fruntea, ca să nu mi se vadă felul cum arată două chestii care le-am pe frunte, care nu-mi plac. Deci nu-mi ridic părul să fie așa, pentru că nu cred că arăt bine. Deci chestii care mă fac să mă simt că arăt frumos, că lumea care mă vede o să zică, oh, ce frumoasă e Mihaela, ce bine vorbește, ce nu știu ce. Dar ca să scap de obiceiurile astea și să scap de lucrurile astea pe care le fac, sau cum vorbeam adineauri, deci în momentul în care mă gândesc că obiceiurile mă țin din ceea ce aș putea să devin ca și om, deci să devin o femeie mai puternică, de exemplu, să devin un om care să nu mai aibă nevoie să fie confirmed. I don't want to have other people confirm my value. I want to prove, I know my value. So I have done a lot of things within the past. I've done a lot of things within the past which were very vulnerable for me. They put me in a situation where I knew that I was going to be rejected, which is another place to go to, and that scares me because as an acting coach, since I've stopped acting for the longest time, I haven't dealt with rejection. So I think me choosing acting, teaching is a safe kind of a thing for a while because I didn't have to do with rejection. So now I'm going back and I'm putting myself in the unknown, in the uncomfortable, where I had to write, I had to get in touch with some people of really high positions in my business, having to do with a series that I'm trying to create. And it was very humbling and it was very sad. And it made me cry a lot that I wasn't receiving answers back. I don't know, for some reason I had so much confidence in myself before that I thought they were going to respond and they did not. So I don't know if it has to do with them not reading my message because we're not even connected on the platform. I don't know what it has to do with, but it just feels rejection. It feels like rejection. It's very humbling. So, but I'm glad that I did it. So that was something that I did, which even though it made me upset and crying in a moment, I'm feeling so much stronger because I feel that I have learned so much in the sense that this is not the way to go about trying to connect with someone. So then I had to change my tactic, going back to tactics. I have to do it in a different way where I have to find a person who knows somebody because people are afraid to just respond to somebody they don't know, especially with everything that's going on in the world and social media and people being, horrible, some of them on social media and all of that. So I'm sure they're just afraid of let me respond to this woman who has a name that I cannot even pronounce, because she might know something that I don't. So going out of your comfort zone is another thing that I always push, I always suggest, I always direct my actors to do, and I do myself, because I always try to keep in the shoes of them so I can be a better teacher. The same thing this guy was doing with this one woman where he was watching her and he says, you're doing something that's very habitual. I've seen you last night and I've seen you the time before. But with every man last night, watch, and he plays the scene on the show. I call it the scene, the scenario. And he says, what do you do with each man that you spoke to? She had talked to a couple of men in the bar. She starts laughing. When there is a moment of pause and nobody's saying anything, instead of letting herself be in the unknown of what's going to come next if they pause, she puts on the performer and she has this heavy loud laughter as to feel the awkwardness because she doesn't want to feel in a place of not knowing what to do. So she wants to fill the space. She wants to be the one that entertains everybody. She wants to be applauded for how she creates this environment for people where she can entertain. And I recognize myself in that too because I do that. Do you recognize yourself in that? Think about it. She would have to say, which was so fake. So it's not that the coach was telling her, don't laugh. He's not stopping her from not laughing. And this happens with my actors sometimes because they go, well, I just wanted to laugh. Are you telling me that I shouldn't laugh? Because that's who I am. I laugh. It's one thing to laugh authentically, and it's another way to laugh when you're trying to cover up an awkward moment. Laugh authentically. And the laugh, I promise you, is not going to sound forced. It's going to be coming out organically. And that is where the joy comes from. But when you're putting on a laugh, it's as if putting on a character, pretending to act, which to this day, so many people say that actors do, that they pretend, they put on an act. What if you put on an act? That means that you're a bad actor. And there are so many bad actors out there. That's why there are no great films. There's a lot of bad, horrible films because they put on a behavior, they put on a character, they put on a laughter that's coming out of place of, it's coming out of a place that's trying to cover something, that's trying to not allow the uncomfortable moment to exist. Let the uncomfortable moment exist and hold back the laughter. And you might surprise yourself and you might surprise how the other people view you. In those moments when you're not putting on the ha 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 laugh and you're just being uncomfortable, that's the vulnerable you. That's how people will get to know different sides to you. And they will have gone from that first meeting with you saying, wow, that woman is not afraid to allow herself to be seen beyond the superficial. Wow, it takes a lot of courage for somebody to do that. I think I'm going to call her back because I really enjoyed getting to know her true self, rather than the superficial performer put on that's so much more comfortable. So when the woman was hearing back the feedback after being watched by the other women and the coach was saying to her, your laughter is so loud and it's there made to be covering the you, that's the authentic you, the true you. She started crying because she realized in the moment that she had been doing that all her life. And now she was starting to question the old relationships that have ended with divorce might have had something to do with her and not just the other person who was involved in the marriage. And there was such a realization, becoming aware of that, is kind of humbling because you take that in and then you kind of go back and you think, have I done my life wrong? I think the reason why I'm doing this and I don't want to talk about acting is because I'm so inspired to talk about love and to talk about trying to get to be the best that you can be as a person and to find a person for those people who are looking to find the love of your life and just the connection between what I've been saying all the time. Shut up. Anyway, I just wanted to do this episode on love because I'm inspired by the event that's coming up this weekend in San Francisco that I'm so excited to go to with Jeremy. It's going to be the wedding of Jeremy's daughter, Caroline. She's marrying Dalton. They've been together for a few years, engaged, and they're just amazing, beautiful people inside and out. And yeah, so I just wanted to talk about love and not acting as much. I mean, I still connected the acting to the episode because I always want to do that, but it was much more about just this big realization that I had watching this show. It's just crazy, people. So listen to this podcast. I'm telling you, because you will learn so much more than what you are meant to believe when you just look at the description. It's, yes, I'm talking about actors because I feel that I'm not a life coach. I am an acting coach. That's where my strength is, and that's what I've done, and that's where my experience has been on. But there's so much more that you're gonna learn, especially now that I've explained it even like detail by detail to how the tools are being used already by life coaches, and they do it not just with a couple of people. They do it on the scale of like the world stage. I mean, this person has helped millions of people. So these tools that he's using, that I'm using as an acting coach with my actors, they work. He's helped people like Evan Longoria, Tyra Banks. He's mentioned all these names. I mean, these are just like people who are smart and understand the magic that he has to share. And I feel that I have the same one, the same magic. I do. I feel like I have the same magic. I do. I know. I know it sounds arrogant. I'm sorry that I sound arrogant. I don't even know why I'm apologizing. I shouldn't. But it goes back to the whole thing of like not being sufficient or thinking that people are going to say something for me saying that. But yeah, I mean, whew, I'm so excited. Anyway, thank you for watching, hey Stella, this episode, which is so different. And I got so hyper about it. And I'm so excited that I did it. Congratulations to Caroline and Dalton and his parents and Jeremy and her mom and everybody involved, and Gloria and everybody else. We'll see you soon in San Francisco. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you for listening and watching, because I'm putting this on YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kisses. Where am I? Okay. From now on, I'm going to do a little bit of a location. Hi, everyone. I find myself in the heart of Roosevelt Island. Roosevelt Island, to everybody listening and to everybody watching on YouTube. Hey, Stella Podcast. Kisses.